All right, folks. So I think we'll actually start off standing today. So you can just set your blanket off to the side for a moment if you have one on your mat, and just invite yourself into a comfortable standing pose. Your feet hips width distance or a little bit wider. A soft buoyancy in your knees. So just making sure you're not locking out those knee joints. And trying to stack your shoulders over your hips. So you're finding that line up and down your spine, stacking the joints for some stability in your body. Let's begin just by rolling your shoulders up toward your ears, making a big shrug, and then gently draw shoulders together and down on your back. Let's find a few more. Circling your shoulders, letting your arms lift and lower. Just letting your breath be natural here. You might notice your breath naturally wants to start to lengthen as you begin to move through your shoulders. Let's let the shoulders relax down the back. Maybe give them a little bit of a wiggle. And just let your shoulders settle. Bring awareness to the soles of your feet, where they're connected to the floor. Again, soft through your knees. See if you can equally distribute your weight across your feet. Maybe lifting up all of your toes and lightly stepping them back down. Feeling where the floor supports your heels and the balls of your feet, gently pressing up from below. As you're sensing into this grounding, the connection of your feet and the floor, see if you can also sense the crown of your head starting to reach lightly up toward the sky. We're connecting down toward the earth and up toward the sky, the body in between. And we'll begin with some more movements, just some gentle partial sun salutations this morning. Keeping knees unlocked. As you inhale, begin to sweep your arms out and up. If it's available, your palms might join together above you. You can also lift your gaze and gaze to your thumbs. As you exhale, let's just trace the midline, bringing your hands to heart center, standing tall. With another inhale, sweep your arms out and up again, circling wide, starting to lift your chin, your gaze. As you exhale, bring hands to heart. This time, inhale, sweep arms out and up. At the top, bring a soft bend into your knees, and then dive down, leading with your heart, arms out wide, softening into a forward fold over your legs. Arms and head can hang heavy, or you might rest your hands on blocks or on the floor. Using an inhale, slide your hands up your shins or up above your knees. Draw your shoulders back and reach the crown of your head forward for a flat back. Let's hang out here for another 3 long breaths. Gently hugging low ribs in, creating lots of space across the back of your body. Using your next exhale, soften knees more and fold over your legs. Just letting the head and the hands hang down. You might nod your head a little bit here to help release your neck. You can also hold opposite elbows or interlace hands into elbow creases for a ragdoll pose, allowing a bit more weight in the upper body to traction your spine out long. Feel free to bring in a little sway here, slight movements through the upper body, swiveling through the hips, bending one knee and then the next. Come back to center, release hands to the floor. Inhale, flat back, hands to shins. Keeping knees bent, let's exhale here, bringing your hands onto your hips. Your next inhale, push down into your feet. Let your heart rise up, come to standing. Finding that mountain pose again, just letting your shoulders soften down your back, your palms open toward the front of the room. As you inhale, arms sweep out and up. Get really tall, lifting through the heart. Again, exhale, just bring hands to heart center, standing tall. Let's rest thumbs against the center of your chest. Feel free to close your eyes or just soften your gaze downward at the floor. Honoring your body by filling up with an even deeper breath. Emptying that breath a little more as you exhale. And simply bringing awareness to how your body is feeling in this moment. You just started to wake things up a little bit, so give yourself a chance to check in and see how things are doing this morning. And just remembering to take care of your own body during your practice today. A harder, more challenging practice is not always what's best for you. So take this time to check in, remind yourself to care for your body, make that promise to yourself. Start to lower your chin toward your chest. It's lengthening through the back of your neck. If your eyes are closed, start to blink your eyelids open, just fluttering those eyelids. As you inhale, let's sweep arms out and up. As your hands lift, so does your gaze, moving toward the ceiling. Soften your knees. Exhale, again, leading with your heart, dive down, folding all the way over your legs. Inhale into a flat back. Exhale, soften your knees, fold forward. Let's reverse that movement. So gaze forward, flip your palms. As you inhale, rise with your heart leading and a flat back all the way up to stand. Palms meet overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Knees unlocked here. Your feet, your legs are holding you or staying grounded, connected to the mat with all four corners of the feet. And let's move through one more round of that, just starting to work with the spine. Inhale, arms sweep out and up. Option for gentle back bend, lifting heart, softening your knees, hinge at the hips, diving forward. Inhaling, find your flat back. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. Let's inhale again, flat back. As you exhale, fold forward and bring your hands down. Let's walk your knees back and find table pose. Now is a great time to take a little pause, grab your blanket or a towel, whatever you have to support your knees, and bring it across your mat. Now, if you're practicing on a carpet, you probably don't need to worry about that. But if you're on a hard floor, protect your kneecaps with something soft. Let's take some time to set up this table pose today. Wrists fall beneath the shoulders. Now, we're not looking in a mirror or anything like that to see. Let's see if you can just tune in and see how it feels in your body. Does it feel like your wrists are under your shoulders? Or perhaps it's a little more comfortable in your body for your hands to even be a bit wider out. You can just explore that, but I want to invite you to play with how does it feel in your shoulders and your arms as opposed to worrying about what it really looks like. Taking lots of space between your fingers, try to press the fingers, the finger pads down into the mat, connecting with the floor. Your knees fall beneath your hips, lining those feet up directly beneath your knees and pressing the tops of your feet down into the ground. Spending a breath or two here, simply rooting down, spreading broad across your shoulders. I'm going to invite you to start some hip circles, gently sending hips to the right a little or a lot. And sweeping hips back toward or to your heels, drawing them up the left side. Moving in a shape and size that makes sense for your body this morning. If you're dealing with a little bit of tightness today or maybe some soreness, I'd invite you to slow things down even more. Make the practice about honoring your breath, supporting your nervous system. As you're circling through your hips, you might explore linking this movement up with your breathing in any way. One breath per hip circle, or breathing in one side and out as you come out the other side. Let's go ahead and change directions if you haven't already. And it's okay if your knees are moving around a little bit under you, if you're hearing some pops and cracks just as your body readjusts a little bit. Start to make your way back to a neutral tabletop. And from here, let's draw the knees out to the edges of your mat and walk your big toes together behind you for child's pose. Press hips back any amount toward your heels. If your hips are high up in the air here, that's completely fine. You're gonna walk the hands forward and lower your forehead either to a block or all the way down to your mat. Again, it's not so much what the pose looks like, but how does it feel in your body? Can your hips sink a little teeny bit more down toward your heels with each breath? Or do your hips not want to move any further? And can you just allow your body to pause there and breathe? If you'd like a little bit more active child's pose, come up onto your fingertips. Roll your biceps toward the ceiling. Gently lift your gaze, but try to keep your heart low to the ground. Let's begin to walk those hands all the way over to the right hand side. Keep child's pose in your legs, your hips. We're going to find a side bend. So fingertips are tented to the right. You can now gently lower forehead again onto block or the mat. And feel free to relax your arms down here, relaxing those elbows and shoulders. Or if it feels better in your body, keep the fingertips tented, the arms active. Energetically drawing your left hip back toward your left heel. Unhinge your jaw. 2 more breaths, softly resting forehead. At your own pace, lift your gaze. Slowly walk your fingertips all the way over to the left. So we'll do our second side here and find your variation, either fingertips lifted and arms active, or everything more restful, restorative. Just drawing your right hip back toward your right heel. Slowly lift your gaze, walk your hands back to center. Lengthen the sides of your body, rest your forehead or a cheek down. And if you'd like something different for the shoulders, wrap your arms around the outside of your thighs, just letting your shoulders slump forward, rounding a bit in your upper back. Reach your arms forward. Inhale as you press yourself back up. Let's make our way back into a tabletop, walking knees under hips, lining your feet back up behind your knees, and stacking your shoulders above your wrists. Find some space across your shoulders, so lifting your heart up toward your spine, broadening across your upper back. And then gently engage through your belly, hugging your navel in toward your spine, bringing awareness to your center. As you feel ready, we'll extend the left leg back. Now you have an option here to either bring the ball of your foot to the floor and engage your leg, or you might lift your heel so your leg's about parallel to the floor, toes angled straight down. Keep your spine long, tailbone reaching straight back as the crown of your head reaches forward. Noticing your breath here, you might lengthen and slow your breathing. And if you'd like to build a little more heat, then for 4 breaths, start to shift weight into your left palm and float your right arm up into the air, your thumb pointing up. You can also lift your gaze here for a little more activity in the body. Push down firmly into your left palm, your rooted hand, rising up away from the floor. We'll find one more inhale here, and then using your exhale, if your arm and leg are lifted, we'll start to round the spine, draw elbow and knee toward each other. If just your leg is lifted, just draw your knee in towards your chest. 3 breaths here, again, pushing down into the floor, trying to round your spine just like a cat pose. Draw your heel as close to your glute as you can, lifting that knee. Using an exhale, we'll just gently come back into our table pose. As you inhale, let's arch the back. Lift your gaze, draw your shoulders back for a cow pose. Using an exhale, round your spine, cat pose. One more in each direction, follow your breath. Make your way back to table pose. As you're ready, find the second side. Right leg extends back, either with the ball of the foot down, engage your whole leg, or lifting the leg parallel to the floor. Flex your foot, aim your toes straight down, squaring your hips. Feel free to stay here or shift weight more into your right hand as your left arm floats weightless up into the air. Awareness in the center of your body. Just imagining that invisible line running down the middle of your torso. Using an exhale, knee to chest or elbow to knee, rounding through the back, tuck your chin, draw your right heel up towards your glute. Using an exhale, release back to table pose. From here, let's walk the knees back, behind the hips. Engage your belly, Bend your elbows and lower yourself down onto your belly, onto the floor. Walk your elbows forward, finding Sphinx pose. Forearms parallel, palms on the mat. You can drop your heart down here for a second just to draw those shoulders more onto your back. So just tuck your chin, draw your shoulders back. And then as you're ready, push down into elbows as you lift your heart and send your gaze in the same line as where your fingertips are falling or just in front of your fingertips. If you feel any sensation in your low back here, you might want to engage your legs more, engage your glutes. Filling up with your inhale, emptying completely on your exhale. Using your next exhale, lower down. Elbows out wide, let's stack the hands one on top of the other. And gently rest your forehead on the back of your hands. Let your whole body just melt toward the floor. And if you'd like a low back release, bend your knees. Slowly let your feet fall from one side to the other, windshield wipering your calves. Letting your feet relax down. Take a moment or two, just lying in stillness on your belly, feeling that connection to the front of your body, grounded. Moving slowly, keeping your awareness internal as much as you're able to. Let's lift the head, bring your hands back under your shoulders. Use your arm strength to push yourself back up onto your hands and knees. And you can choose to either stay in your table pose today, or you might tuck your toes under and keeping your knees bent, send your hips up and back for your first downward dog of the day. Keep your knees bent so you can press into rooted palms, sending your tailbone up and back, finding as much length in your spine as you're able to. Knees can stay bent here as well. It's much more important that we have a straight, long spine in down dog than straight legs. But if it is available to you, you might start to straighten those legs out little by little, maybe bending into one knee and then the next, pressing the opposite heel down into the floor, getting a stretch on the back of your leg. As you breathe here, just remember to release your jaw, your neck. You can let your head just hang heavy, maybe nod a little bit, shake it side to side. Let's find one more long breath in and out here in your downward facing dog. And bending knees, gaze forward. Start to walk slowly up to the front of your mat, taking as many steps as you'd like. Bring your feet about hips width distance, bending into your knees again. Let's inhale, hands to shins or above your knees. Find that flat back. Exhale, fold over your legs. We're gonna keep the knees nice and soft here. Let the head and arms hang heavy. And take at least 2 to 3 breaths to start to roll slowly up your spine.
Really taking your time here and keeping the weight in your feet. Want your head to be the very last thing to rise. So focusing on the low back, the mid back, then the upper back. When you eventually make it all the way up, the shoulders roll down your back, the head lifts, palms spin forward. You might keep your hands down beside you, or if you prefer, bring palms to meet at heart center, just feeling that connection of your hands to each other and your thumbs to your chest. As you breathe in, let your heart rise up to meet your thumbs. As you breathe out, feel your body relax and settle a little more toward the floor. Using an inhale, sweep your arms out and up. Let's soften the knees. Exhale, hinge at your hips and dive forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. From our fold, we're going to step the right foot all the way back and find your low lunge, lowering that right knee down. Now, if you like to practice with blocks and you have them at your house, you can feel free to use them here, just bringing them on either side of that front foot. So if you're using blocks, you can decide what height your blocks are on, high, medium, or low. If you don't have blocks, bring fingertips down to the floor or even use some firm couch pillows under your hands, throw pillows, whatever you got. Stacking left knee above your ankle. As you're ready, engage your belly and lift your upper body. Stack your hands on top of that left thigh. Hands press down into thigh, and then your big toe and the ball of your left foot push down into the floor for some stability. Long through the spine, lifting the heart. Just getting a gentle stretch in this first lunge. As it feels available to you, you can feel free to start to move those hips forward little by little, getting a deeper stretch. What we don't want to do here is just to drop all the way into the hip joints where we're just kind of hanging out with no tension and no engagement. Keep your thighs hugging in toward each other a bit here. So there is this lift coming from the hips, coming from the pelvis, and we're not just sinking down into all of our connective tissue. If you'd like to sweep your arms up toward the sky or find cactus arms here, you can explore that. Notice what those lowest ribs are doing. Just keeping your low ribs, drawing in, upper abdomen engaged. As you exhale, float your hands all the way back down to blocks or the floor. We'll find our half split here, gently rocking hips back until your hips are stacked over that right knee. And then you can come up on the left heel. You might have to wiggle that leg side to side a little bit to lengthen your leg. You can keep a gentle bend in this front knee as well to protect the back of your leg. Use an inhale to first lift your heart. Find length in your spine. So those hips draw back, heart reaches forward. And then if it's available, you might fold little by little over your front leg, reaching the crown of your head toward your toes. Left hip is just gently dropping down, energetically dropping down.
Lifting your gaze, start to walk hands forward, either coming onto fingertips or back on your blocks. Let's make our way back into lunge. The left foot forward, bending the left knee. Tuck your back toes under. Engage your back leg and lift your knee off the floor. So we're in this runner's lunge. Hug your navel in toward your spine. Try to lift your heart away from front thigh. Gazing forward, take one or more steps to bring your back foot up to the front of your mat and fold gently over both your legs. Soft bend in your knees. Inhale again, flat back, hands to shins. Exhale, fold forward. This time the left foot steps back. I'm going to switch which side I'm using. We're going to find that lunge just with the right foot forward. Right knee stacks above right ankle. Fingertips might be on the floor or on your blocks. Once you find your center, start to rise up with upper body. Press hands on top of each other into your right thigh or the top of the knee. Let your gaze become just softly fixed at a single point directly in front of you. Option to lift your arms at any point here. As a reminder, you can always bend at the elbows, broadening across the shoulders. If you have had some kind of rotator cuff issue or anything in your shoulders that makes it uncomfortable to have your arms lifted. Moving your hips forward more, any amount. Just remembering to keep a little bit of awareness and engagement in the hips. Using your next exhale, start to float hands back down. And find your half split, rocking hips back till your hips stack above your left knee. And again, just wiggling that right heel forward, wiggling your right leg so you can lengthen your leg. Your hips more or less square. Blocks under your hands is a great idea here as you lift your heart, lengthening your spine first. Think about your hips, your tailbone drawing toward the back of your mat as your heart reaches forward. As you feel ready, or if you feel ready, you might start to fold more over your front leg, or you might just stay lifted there, even with a bend in that front knee. Remembering it's not so much what the pose looks like, but are you feeling a stretch? Are you feeling sensation and opening your breath? Is your awareness able to be in your body because it's tolerable what you're doing? Taking your time, walk your hands forward or onto blocks again. Let's find that lunge one more time on the right side. Stack your right knee directly above your ankle. Then let's tuck the back toes under. Strengthen up your back leg to lift your knee. Gaze forward and take one or more steps, as many as you need, to bring your back foot up to the front of your mat and fold over both legs. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, soften your knees, fold forward, plant your palms, step back, plank pose. Of course, you can bring your knees down at any point here for a knee plank variation. If you're in plank pose, lift the front of your body up toward your spine, pressing the floor away from you firmly. 3 long breaths, firing up every muscle in your body. As you exhale, either bring your knees down and lower or shift forward onto your tiptoes, bend your elbows and lower to your belly in one piece. Rolling over your toes, strengthen up your legs. Draw your elbows toward each other, your shoulders back. Inhale, baby cobra, just a gentle lift with the heart, keeping your lowest ribs connecting to the floor. As you exhale, let's release. Keep your hands where they are, but let one of your cheeks come down to the ground. Take a big breath in, maybe sigh it out your mouth. Let's come up for one more round of Cobra. As you inhale, legs strengthen, shoulders draw back, and heart lifts. Try to keep pretty lightweight in your palms here. Exhale to release. Inhale, push up, hands and knees. And then child's pose. Knees walk out wide, big toes together. Send your hips back and down, and your forehead rests. A cheek can come down if that's more comfortable than your forehead. And taking a few breaths here just to soften into your mat. Trying to strike that balance between effort and ease in our practice. And see how your body responds when you just offer it a moment to rest. However makes sense for you, start to make your way back up. And we'll meet. You can choose between table pose or downward dog. And one's not better than the other. You just do what feels better in your shoulders, your back. From table or down dog, let's start to reach your right heel straight up and back. Keeping your hips square, just letting the right leg lift up as high as you're able to. Press your hands into the floor, sending your chest toward your back thighs. Let's exhale, right foot comes down, downward dog or table pose. Inhale, left leg reaches up and back. Hips stay square, toes aiming toward the ground. As you exhale, downward dog or table pose. Let's start to make our way up to the front of the mat where we will meet in a forward fold. Hips or feet hips width distance apart. Slight bend in both knees. Inhale, flat back. Pausing here for the exhale, keep your belly strong, bring your hands to your hips. Push down into your feet, inhale, rise with the flat back. Coming back up to standing. Let your hands relax down beside your body. Your gaze soften ahead of you or closing your eyes if that's comfortable. Just sensing inward, noticing what's happened in your body internally since you began moving this energy. Some things you might notice are heat, heart beating, some sense of pulsation anywhere in your body, of your circulation flowing, maybe tingling somewhere. These are just options. And just notice how it is for you. And I just want to acknowledge that, we are all practicing for the most part on our own, in our own houses. Yet at the same time, we're all practicing together right now. So there is this sense of community. And I just want to invite everyone to maybe take a deep breath in and out all together so that we have that sense of being together in our practice, sharing in this experience with other people. We'll begin just by exhaling right now. And then inhale and exhale. Fluttering eyelids open if they're closed. Bring your hands onto your hips. And I'll invite you to step your right foot back. This time we'll find a warrior two pose. So your right foot steps back and angles out to the right hand side. We'll start to bend just into the front leg. Again, just how does it feel in your body? Doesn't matter how wide your stance is. Just want to feel like you can hang out here for a little while with your breath. Arms might reach out from shoulders, gazing across the front fingertips. But I always like to check on my back arm and make sure it's not lagging lower here or off to the side. Really trying to find some sense of symmetry in the body. Bending into left knee and gently pressing left knee to the left, just to help those hips open up. Softening through the shoulders, letting your legs be super strong here, holding you up. As you're ready, start to bend the left arm and let your left forearm or elbow rest on your left thigh. Right arm reaches straight up into the air, palm open to the right. So we're more in our side angle here. Now we'll start with some movements through the right arm here, working with the right side body, right shoulder. You just go at your own pace. First, this right arm's going to reach forward and down, and then back up. And just like you're swimming with that one arm, big reach forward, big circle, down and back up. So you can go even slower, you might go a little faster. Just want you to sync this movement up with your breathing in whatever way makes sense for you. Changing directions. Right hand reaches down and then forward, then lifts up. And you want to have your hand be free here. So your hand's going to want to move and kind of point in opposite directions, right, as you move through your shoulder. So try to have there be some freedom here for your arm just to move how it would safely move in a big circle. The next time that right arm sweeps forward, you're going to use it to lift yourself back up, settle back into warrior two. Beautiful. Inhale to straighten front knee without locking the knee. So keep a little bend there. Then exhale, triangle. Left hand reaches forward, get long with the left side body. Pivot shoulders. Left hand can rest on a block or left leg. Shoulders stack, right arm reaches straight up. If your right arm needs a rest, just bring your hand to your hip. Think about that chest spinning to the right. Your gaze might even start to move up toward the ceiling if that's comfortable. Let's move your gaze down toward the floor. Press down to your feet. Inhale, upper body rises. Hands to hips. Take a bend into that front knee and take one or more steps with your back leg. And just come back up to the front of the mat. And you might want to shake out your left leg. Just let it be loose out of the hip here for a second. Give it a little wiggle. And then we'll find our way into warrior two with the right foot forward. Bending into right knee, I've switched. This is now the front of my mat here. So bending into the right knee. Left toes are at an angle to the left. Hands can be on your hips, or you might extend them out from the shoulders, just checking for that symmetry of the arms. And settling into your breathing. See if you can, without looking at your toes, can you feel for your toes and sense if they are clenching the mat really hard? And if so, can you lightly lift up your toes and then set them back down? And notice the difference there. Gently start to hinge forward, coming into that side angle pose. Right elbow to right thigh. Left arm reaches straight up, stacking. And then just finding your own variation here of those big circles, reaching that top arm forward and letting it swivel down below you and then sweep back up. A little twisting maybe happening in the upper body, freedom in the shoulder. Your gaze can follow the movement of your arm. As you're ready, switch direction so that right hand reaches down and then forward and then sweeps up and back. Well, notice we're going through quite a few poses actually just through doing this arm movement. We've got our extended side angle here. And moving more towards almost a reverse warrior, that big sweep up and back. And you'll let your next inhale lift you up back to warrior two, where we will straighten into the front knee without locking the joint. And exhale as you pivot into triangle pose. Right hand reaches as far forward as you can. Then pivot shoulders, bring your right hand onto a block or your shin. Try to open your chest to the side of your room, keeping the left arm reaching up, or of course, option to bring the hand onto the hip. Sometimes with my hand on my hip here, I can even feel more opening across my chest. So you could explore that. Bring your top hand on your hip and see if your heart wants to open even more to the side of the room, drawing that left shoulder back a little bit. Maybe starting to move your gaze left or to the ceiling. Gently move your gaze down toward the floor. As you inhale, just lift your upper body, hands to hips, and then make your way back up to the front of your mat. And maybe your right leg needs a little shake this time. Just letting the ankle, the foot flop around a little bit. You might circle your ankle, shake it out of the hip. All right. Make your way back to the front of your mat, bringing your feet about hips width distance. Using an inhale, sweep arms out and up. Get a little taller than your first round. Bend your knees, exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale into a flat back. Exhale as you fold forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, step back to plank or knee plank. And now you can vinyasa with your breath. So yogi's choice here. Exhaling, bringing yourself half or all the way onto the ground. Inhaling cobra again, or maybe upward dog, thighs off the mat, strong through the legs. Exhale, we'll meet in either table or downward facing dog for 5 more breaths. At your own pace, gently lower knees down to the floor. And let's spin yourself around and make your way to seated. We'll do a couple seated poses. So if you like to sit on a blanket to help elevate your hips and lengthen your low back, you can fold your blanket up however you want to. And find any comfortable seated pose, maybe cross-legged. You could kneel on a block, or you might extend one or both legs out in front of you. Stack your shoulders above your hips. At the crown of your head, lift little by little so the back of your neck is long. We'll end today with some slow moving twists. As you inhale, reach arms out and up. As you exhale, we'll twist to the right, just letting your fingertips tent to the floor just in front of you and behind you. Inhale, lift arms, come back through center. Exhale, flow to the other side. Just keep going. Let's keep this slow as we're nearing the end of our practice. Moving with your breath. Letting the twist come from the ribs, the shoulders. Let's inhale, reach up, facing center. Exhale, hands to heart center, staying neutral in your spine. Long breath here. And then continuing to keep your awareness as internal as possible. Make your way down onto your back. I'll offer one round of bridge if you prefer it to be a supported bridge. Have a block or a firm pillow handy before you lower down. Just come all the way down onto your back, letting your spine be long, your knees bent. Walk your heels in towards your sits bones as close as you can. You might even reach down with your fingertips, see if you can tickle the back of your heels, back of your ankles. Feet and knees are both about hips width distance apart, arms down beside you, palms turned down on the ground. Begin just by curling your tailbone under a little bit. So pressing your low back actually more into the ground, lengthening your low back, the little tuck of your tail. Then starting to push into your heels, let your hips float as effortlessly as possible up toward the ceiling. Your glutes, your butt muscles are naturally going to want to engage here and strengthen up. Once you're in your bridge pose, see if you can practice reminding those glutes over and over again to relax, to soften, trying to train spine muscles and the quads to really hold us here. Letting the glutes take a little break. If you prefer supported bridge, you can slide your block or a pillow under your low back at any point and just let that support your back. Press your knees forward, lengthening the tops of your thighs. If you have more space here in your upper body, you might walk your arms together underneath you, clasping hands. Walk your shoulders under your upper back and let your heart roll toward your chin. Unclasp your hands if they're clasped. Curl your tailbone under. Slowly roll down your spine. Again, with that tuck of the tail to protect your low back until your whole back is just released onto the floor. Walk your feet and your thighs together. Take your arms out to a T or bend at your elbows for cactus arms. We want the palms turned up toward the ceiling here. As you feel ready, let your knees come down to the right hand side. And just finding a twist in the upper back. Trying to keep your left shoulder soft onto the ground. Consciously invite your body to start making that transition into ease and rest. Scanning for areas that you might be able to relax a little bit more. Breathe into a little more. As you're ready, bring knees back up to center. And take a moment to bring your spine more neutral in alignment. And then find your twist to the left. Let each breath nourish every cell in your body. Let's begin to find our way onto our backs. So lifting your knees, coming back into a neutral spine. To transition to Shavasana, you might squeeze your knees in first, just giving yourself a nice big hug. If you want to lift your head and shoulders, you can do that.
Squeeze your eyes shut, give yourself a nice squeeze. And then make your way into your resting pose, which might mean lying on your back, just traditional Shavasana, the body kind of spread out and relaxed. You could roll up your blanket and place it under your knees for some more support on your low back. You could even choose to bend your knees and let your thighs knock together with your feet out wide. Let your gaze soften at a single point on the ceiling or allow your eyes to gently close. Invite your body to start to relax. And to do that, you might bring a sense of completion to your physical practice with a deep sigh, inhaling with your fellow yogis here to really fill up the lungs, expanding the heart space. And just opening the mouth, relaxing the jaw, and let it all flow out. Releasing any controlled breath practice. Allowing your body to return to its natural breathing state, however that is today. And slowly bring your awareness to your body.
Noticing where you're rooted down by gravity, those points of connection between your body and your mat, your body and the floor, the ground, whatever you're lying on. Can you let your attention just settle in those places? As if your body were a magnet to the earth. And as you sense that grounded place beneath you, can you also become aware of the space directly around your body? Noticing if there's any movement to the air or if the air is still, if there's a sense of temperature, a smell, a sound. Notice where your skin comes into contact with the space around your body. Let your jaw, your tongue relax. Lightly touch your thumbs to each fingertip. Wiggle your toes. And in your own time, let these movements get a little bit bigger, letting your hands and your wrists move, your feet and your ankles. Your head might even rock side to side, loosening up your neck and shoulders. If you want to take a big stretch here, reach your arms overhead, bring your feet close together, and just fill up with a few big breaths as you get long and tall. There's studies that show when we practice yoga regularly, it actually makes us taller because it creates more length in our spine. So feel how you might be half a centimeter taller than you were an hour ago. And then when you're ready, draw those knees in, wrap yourself into another little ball and roll yourself over onto either side. And keeping your head heavy, your gaze down, press into your mat with your hands and make your way back up to any seated position that's comfortable in your body. Your hands might rest in your lap, or you could bring palms to meet at heart center, gently lowering chin forward to close out your practice. As always, I invite each one of you just to send yourselves a big thank you for showing up for yourself in this way today, for caring for yourself so you can continue to care for other people. And thank you all so much for joining in and practicing with me this morning. I bow to you. Namaste.